Welcome to Wisdom for Your Day. Today, we are breaking down the exact mechanics of an entertainment empire built entirely outside the system. In the traditional Hollywood model, creators spend years knocking on studio doors. They pitch scripts, beg for funding, and in exchange for a shot at fame, they sign away the rights to their own ideas. Tyler Perry started entirely outside of that ecosystem. Born into severe poverty in New Orleans, he survived an abusive household, internalized a damaging boys don't cry mentality, and eventually spent time living out of his car while trying to launch a career. Decades later, the films he wrote have generated hundreds of millions of dollars worldwide, and he operates out of his own 330-acre production lot in Atlanta. He bridged that massive gap by engineering a distinct operational model: extreme self-reliance, relentless creative output, and an absolute grip on his physical and intellectual assets. His trajectory proves that traditional industry gatekeepers become entirely irrelevant once a creator builds their own structural foundation. The first gear he had to build was psychological. Raised in an environment of constant fear and told to bottle up his pain, Perry leaned heavily on his faith and began writing private letters to himself to untangle the trauma. He adopted a relentless focus on incremental progress. When facing overwhelming odds, his entire philosophy narrowed to taking one little step forward through the pain. That resilience was tested immediately. In 1992, he poured his life savings into his first stage play. On opening night, exactly 30 people showed up. Most aspiring writers would abandon the script. Perry treated the flop as actionable data. He spent the next 6 years steadily rewriting that exact same play until a 1998 revival completely sold out a 7-night run. When you maintain absolute focus on a long-term goal, external doubt loses its grip, and outright failure becomes a necessary course correction. To maintain his massive output, he relies on a punishing daily routine. He wakes up before dawn to write scripts in total silence, while the rest of the world is still asleep. This intense discipline fuels incredibly rapid production cycles. He routinely finishes entire scripts in 3-week sprints and films multiple television episodes in a single week. He also knows exactly who is watching. Instead of watering down his scripts to attract a broad, general demographic, he targets a hyper-specific audience of Black, church-going families, filling his stories with gospel themes and familiar emotional conflicts. Mainstream film critics routinely panned his work. He ignored them completely, choosing to listen exclusively to the thousands of core fans who bought tickets and joined his direct email list. Prioritizing authentic engagement with a niche community provides a far more stable business foundation than chasing the fleeting approval of mainstream critics. All of this creative momentum feeds into his ultimate financial weapon, an absolute refusal to hand over his intellectual property to major studios. This diagram breaks down his negotiation strategy. While a traditional Hollywood split leaves the creator with a tiny sliver of the profits, Perry took a different route. He accepted a highly restrictive $5.5 million budget from Lionsgate, specifically to secure a 50-50 profit split and full creative control. The results were immediate. His low-budget debut film grossed over $50 million at the box office, and because he held his ground in the negotiation, he captured half of the return. He repeated this low-risk, high-ownership formula across multiple projects. By keeping budgets tight and retaining the rights, his films consistently turned a massive profit, compounding his wealth past $660 million. Sacrificing the short-term comfort of a large studio advance in exchange for long-term control of your own intellectual property is the exact mathematics of building generational wealth. Perry's 330-acre Atlanta lot stands as the physical proof of his 3-gear philosophy in action. Because he owns his pipeline, he remains entirely insulated from the traditional Hollywood establishment that originally rejected him. The directives here are universal. Treat your failures as feedback. Protect your mornings for deep, focused work. Ignore the outside critics and serve your specific niche directly. And most importantly, structure your deals so that you legally own both your physical and intellectual output. Now, it is time to apply these lessons to your own craft. If this breakdown brought you value, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow Wisdom for Your Day. True creative and financial freedom is never granted by an industry. It is methodically engineered from within.